All right, hello. My name is Daniel Guys. I'm the creative and technical director here at ED Films. I'm back to stream for after an absence of 1 week. So here we are again. And so what we're going to do this time, and I'm a little shaky, a little rough today. But what we're going to do, I'm also a little bit late, so I apologize for that. What we're going to do today is we are going to take a look at another. Just give me 1 second. I'm just trying to get everything here. Hey, Pramod, my voice is really low. Okay, is it? I'll try to turn up. Let me know. Is it still really quiet? Um, if it is, I will get it turned up. Just let me know. Just bear with me for 1 second. Thanks for tuning in. Okay, because I can crank it up. I think I can crank it up louder. Do I have it turned down? Let me just see. That's way quieter. Okay, up, up, up. I can turn it up a little more for sure. What microphone are we in? Here we are. I'll just turn it up a bit more. Testing. Hello, here we are. Hopefully that's louder. Is that louder? Just let me know. Hey, Pachelevic. Okay, so, all right. So what we're going to do today is I'm going to show you. I finally got the PSD to Maya thing working, or the PSD to 3D thing working. We figured out what the problem was with last time, and it's because the image was a 16-bit image and not an 8-bit image. We now have it built so it will handle 16-bit, 32-bit images, stuff like that. But so I want to show you the workflow of using this plugin once again, and maybe do a couple of interesting things with it, and just have a look at what we can do, experiment a little. I don't know, just a few different things. So I thought we'd just do that today for the stream, and just kind of play around a little bit with going from Photoshop and into Maya. So we're going to be opening beta testing for this really soon. We just had some bugs that we finished working out. So here we go. So I'm going to go into here. It'll show up under your extensions. It's the PSD exporter. And what I'm going to do to this is set our expansion to 20 pixels. The way you can see what the expansion will be is if you, let's say, control click this head, I go select, modify, expand. I'll just put it to 20, and you can see that it's gone out this far from the edges, which is good for us. So the way the plugin works, which I've shown you before, is it will either create a grid mesh for you, or you can create your own mesh. And the way you can create your own mesh is you go into paths. I control selected this. I created a little selection mask, and I can tell it to convert it to a path. Now what I can do is using the pen tool. So not this pen tool, because I don't want to have to like click points everywhere. I just want to draw. So I'm going to do the freeform pen tool. And I'm just going to draw some edges really quickly. What I would like is I would like to be able to grab some edge loops around the eyes so that we can create a convincing eye sockets for this character. So these will actually be meshed edge loops for us. There we go. And then this will be our vertical line through the head. And then I'll probably do one through here. Oops, that's too high. I don't know if you can hold shift. No, you can't. Okay. So there we go. And then here, I'm going to just define a few more lines. We'll do one here. We'll do one here. Actually, do we want a mouth kind of thing? We could always add a mouth. Maybe we'll go like that, just to get a little bit of the mouth shape. I'm going to delete that line and put in a new one. Dude, through the middle of the eye, and then like that. Cool. You want to make sure that you have enough curves that you've drawn that it can hold the shape together. So that's kind of the main objective here, is that you want to do enough curves that you will get the shape. Otherwise, you're not going to get these circle shapes. You're going to get something completely different. Now, I'm not going to go crazy here because there's so many different ways to do this kind of thing. I'm just going to try to do enough that we can just get the general idea. Or if we want to, is even rebuild the meshes. Okay, and then I'll do another one here. I'll do more here. It'd probably help to actually look at some actual character meshes. So we have some illegal polygons in here, but that's okay. We're going to clean those up later. It doesn't really matter. We're just trying to get started. So this is like an awful polygon. You wouldn't do this normally in 3D, but we might be able to get rid of some of it. Not sure if we ran through here and there. Actually, we could do a little connection here. There. Maybe that'll do it. We'll see. It might discard this. I'm not sure. We'll put one here. Okay. I think we have lots of curves to work with. Let's just put a couple more here. Cool. Okay, so I've drawn a mesh for this part. Now I want to do one for the body, but I want to apply this mesh actually. So I have the work path selected. All I have to do is go to the head and I'll just click this twice. So now we have a mesh, a vertex mask associated with the head. Let's do the body really quickly. Control select, modify, expand, 20, that's cool. And then we'll create another path. Create a new path, there we go. And then I'll just add to it here. I want to kind of make it feel like a round belly thing. You got to make sure if you draw your paths that you're drawing them outside the boundary for them to be fully finished. Okay, so there we go. And now I'm going to draw a few more here. Cool, that's done. So that one's a good one. And now I want to do the tails. Let's add this, done. And let's do the tail. So for the tail, I'll control select again. Select, modify, expand by 20. It's good. I just want a wide enough area that I can get a nice deformation on the joint. It's sort of like if you were doing After Effects, the equivalent would be sort of giving, I can't remember what it's called when you're using the puppet tool, but you give it a softness or something around the edges. Not a softness. What is it called? It's called expansion. Sorry. My brain is a garbage dump today. Okay. There's a line there. So I'm going to just create these. I could do more. Whoop. There we go. Great. You'll never have to learn how to model individual polygons again. Okay. So that guy's good. Let's just apply that. Done. That's the tail. Do we want one for the cheeks? I'm kind of happy not having one for the cheeks. Like we can generate our own if we want, but maybe let's just do one for the eyes. Modify, expand, 20. That's kind of a lot, but it's cool. Okay. And then we'll go here, paths, and we'll make some new ones. Just bear with me. This is going to be cool. I've already done it a couple times and it worked. So I'm not going to waste your time like I did last time. So for a circle, we want to make sure that we're getting enough, that we have enough stuff. Because if I just do this, we're not going to get these. You need to make sure you have a lot of little crosses over here. Otherwise, you're not going to have enough geometry. And actually, this for eyes is probably not the best. We probably really want more of a, that's probably not the best geometry for an eye, but it doesn't really matter. It's fine. It's fine. We'll just go like this. Okay, so that's 1, 2 there, and then I'll just go here. Whoops. Let's go through the middle and through the middle. Okay, cool. All right, so now we have one for the eyes. Let's just do that. And the other ones we'll just keep as a grid mesh, okay? So these are all done. Let's do that. So everything's there. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to run the PS Code. I'm not going to export the layers because Photoshop's PNG creator is slower than Maya's. So I'm not going to export layers. I'm just going to create the PSD file, and this will create a JavaScript file for us. So let's go to the project. Okay, PSD to Maya. That's what we're just calling it for now. It's not the official name. Source images, I'm going to put it in here. Okay, so I'm going to call this, I'm going to create a new folder for this for now. Monster, face, tail, new. That's how you're never supposed to name files like that, and I just did. I'm going to call it version 5. Okay, we'll save it. So now what it's going to do is it's going to look through all the layers, and any layer without a vector mask, it's going to create one that it can then use to drive the grid generation, okay? So now we'll go in here. Let's go into Maya, and I'll just make sure the plugin's installed. It is. I'm just going to show you. It's like here. It's just right there. Oh, it's not there. I don't have it auto-loading. I see. Okay, so it's loaded. So let's go close. So it should be right there. So now we can go. I'm just going to make sure that my project is set to the PSD to Maya project, and it is. Okay, let's go here. I'm going to go to the PSD window and I'm going to go select my PSD. Unfortunately, it doesn't take into consideration the project folder that I'm in, but that's okay. In Blender, Pramod, you know what? There's a whole bunch of auto rigging tools in Blender, which you should probably check out. I know there's some really good auto rigging tools in Blender. I just don't know them offhand. Actually, a better person to ask would be Eric. I can ask Eric for you when he gets into the studio tomorrow. But also, just on a Blender note, this will be available for Blender eventually because, not for Blender specifically, but because we will be making it to create just OBJs and FBX files. But yeah, I'm not 100% sure, Pramod, but there might be someone who can help you out with that. But just check for some auto rigging tools in Blender. I know there's a bunch coming around, and Blender's getting better and better. Okay, source images. Monster, newt, face, tail, new. Okay, here it is. We'll go open. All right, so now what it's done is it's populated. Every single layer is sitting in this list here. The first thing I want to do is I want to select all these, and I'm just going to change the number of polys for my grid from 10, let's just do 15, just to be safe. We can always regenerate. It's not a problem. But I also know, so for the eyes, I want to use my vector layer. For the head, I want to use my vector layer. For the body, I want to use my vector layer. And for the tail, we'll use the vector layer. Okay? And we also have a merge vertex distance, which you can change. I think we go from 0.01 to 0.1. And that what it will do is if two vectors are really close together, it'll merge them into a single polygon. And what we can do here is we'll just select everyone. I'll press Control A. And I'm going to generate 7 PNGs and generate 7 meshes to go with it. The next thing I'm going to do is I have my mesh scale. I might put the mesh scale up a little bit. There we go. And then I'm going to also add some depth between the layers. We'll just put 1. Okay, so let's generate the PNGs. And this is way faster than Photoshop. When you generate PNGs in Photoshop, it's probably a third as fast, maybe less. And now I'm going to generate my meshes. Okay, and now what we should have here is, oh, what is that? Let's go 5, 6. Oh, there we go. Oh, it looks like we're missing our eyes for some reason. That's okay. They may not have generated properly, but I will regenerate them. And it looks like my mesh density is a little too big. So let's go back to the plugin. And I'm going to generate for the pupil highlights. Let's make this 5. Pupils, let's make it 5. And then eye base, we used a vector layer, but it didn't show up for some reason. I might have done like a bad thing. We'll just use the linear for now since it didn't work. And we'll put it to a 10. Okay, and so we can select these meshes again and regenerate them. There. So it regenerated the meshes. It had a problem with the vectors, which we can look at later. But what this does is this creates a grid mesh. And the reason we did grid instead of triangles, is because triangles can get really hard to deform properly. If you want to start using the sculpting tools like these ones in Maya, triangles can get really messy when you're trying to sculpt with them. They can create a lot of weird like edge artifacts and stuff like that. So what I opted for is that we focus on creating a grid. And then if you want, you can delete the edges around that grid by creating your own connections. So if I was to go to grab the multi-cut tool, I can like go in from here to here and start cutting things out and deleting things. So the idea here is that if you are not an experienced CG modeler or something like that, that you have the capacity to get something pretty quickly into Maya and start bending it around. Hi, Hero. We're just demonstrating the PSD to Maya, which is finally working. So let's take a look at the mesh I made. Now, that looks ugly, and it's not the super best mesh in the world. There's probably some illegal quads here. Yeah, like here's not a good one. But the thing that we do have is we copied exactly what we did. So we were able to generate a mesh using the line tool in Photoshop. So now what I can do is I can start cleaning this mesh up if I want to. There's a lot of different ways that you can do this in Maya. You can use the quad draw tool, and that would, oh, actually, no, I think we have to redo the whole mesh altogether? No. Why is that slightly pink? Oh, because these guys are there. Let's move these guys forward a bit because they're popping in and out. Let's just center the pivots. Dude, let's bring that out there. There we go. Okay. So I think we can use quad draw, possibly not. It's because it's not locked, but we can use the multi-cut tool to build new edge loops or whatever we need. I'm not going to get crazy into it right now, but the main focus of this process is to just really quickly get you going. And another thing, let's take a look at just while we're here, is we'll just take a look at the UVs. So the way that we did it is that each object sits in a UV space that is similar to the Photoshop composition. And the reason we did this is so that if you created a landscape or something like that, that you could go back and reload this image and just draw on it any way you wanted, and it would fit with your UV. If you wanted to create like a nice UV map for a character, for a character for a game, for instance, or something, all you would do is you would position all the layers the way that you would position them in an actual UV map, and it would break them up appropriately. So right now I've got these, I guess what you would call like wasteful UV use of UV space, but this is for film. It's not for games, so it doesn't really matter as much. And if I wanted, I could add a bunch of new stuff here. It doesn't matter. Or if I wanted to lay out my Photoshop file as a texture, I could do that as well. But this, I'm just showing you the most basic approach. So we definitely have some illegal quads in here. There's problems. Excuse me. I'm going to fix them with just triangles, which is evil, but I can do that. The other way you can speed this up is if you just go here, you can go mesh, and I think we can go triangulate, which would do the equivalent of what the puppet tool would do in After Effects. So we can triangulate it, or we could do, before we triangulate, we've got triangles in here in a couple spots, but what we could also do is we could just do a smooth on it. Hopefully that works. That might be, yeah, it's smoothed fine. And then I can just go here and then go down here and triangulate the mesh if I want to. And then from here, we can get into that way. Like if we really didn't want to have to worry about, oh geez, there we go. If we didn't really want to have to worry about fixing our geometry properly, you could essentially do this. I wouldn't advise it. It's not the really the proper way to work with 3D, but you definitely can do it. So now what I can do here, we'll just go here. I can just pull these eye sockets in a little bit. There we go. And then for this guy, for these guys here, I mean, I could do a lot with these, but I could just grab this like face here, boop, 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 there, and one here, and just like pull them out, make them nice and round. Cool. Let's grab those pupils. Also, on another note, we respect the hierarchy that you generate with your layers in Photoshop. So the pupils, everything is layered exactly as you did in Photoshop and named exactly as your Photoshop layers are named. You do have to center your pivot because we by default do it to the corner, but it's not that big of a deal. Okay, so there we go. So let's get those pupils forward. There we go. And what we could eventually do is put these in an actual deformer or something. And let me just change my render so the viewport 2 has a better, instead of object sorting, we'll do a depth peeling. 0.5, it doesn't really matter. There we go. So now we won't have the same unstable 3D. So now we can like take those eyes. Let's just take these and these guys here and parent them here. Blow up like that. And then just bring them back in a bit. Oh, and we'll probably want to get the little highlights in there too. I like the little highlights. There they are. I'm not going to go crazy into rigging this guy because I really don't know the best approach at this moment of how I should approach this character, because I haven't really like broken this down too much. The idea here is just to more show you, like I could put a wrap deformer, use this as a wrap deformer for these pupils. Let's see if that actually works. I can never remember the exact, I always forget the exact workflow for a wrap deformer. But if we go wrap deform, I think if we go wrap, I'm not really 100% sure. Let's see, apply. I'm not sure which one it does it to. Oh yeah, so these guys, there we go. So now these guys, if we positioned the anchor properly, we could have these guys sticking to the eyelids, and they will sort of wrap around the eyelid thing if the offset was in the proper position. So eventually we would rig this with some bones, just like you do in After Effects, but you can get it to like, you would get it so that they actually stayed on there. Or I think instead of a wrap, we could use a shrink wrap. I think let's just try that really quick. So we'll go we'll go here, these guys here, and then stop it. Am I selecting everything? Oh, it's because they're parented, right? Let's just unparent these guys here. Shift P. So let's take the eye base, and then we'll take the pupils. Pupil, not highlights. Pupils. There we go. And then we'll just wrap. We'll do a. I think it's a shrink wrap. We'll see. Shrink wrap. There we go. See if that works. I don't know if it worked. Let's have a look. No, it's distorting the wrong thing. My bad. I selected the wrong things first. So this, apply. Okay, let's try this. I'm not doing it right. Anyway, sorry guys, I'm an idiot. I haven't really gone through this whole thing. Yeah, so I'm sending them. That's what we're doing here. We're taking the planes and bringing them in. So the Photoshop file's here, and we drew a mesh using the pen tool in Photoshop. And then we just export the file and bring it in to Maya. So we have right now we have two different algorithms to solve your mesh creation. One creates a grid mesh, and the other uses the vector meshes that we've done. So it's a really cool, it's a really simple way to work. So you can see here, I've got this part done. So let's just do a smooth on this guy. Great. And then now what we can do is we'll just grab this edge. And then I'm going to change my tool settings here. So I want it to be, yeah, I guess kind of like this. I want to pull the hard part in there. And then let's change the fall off radius a little bit. Something like that. And then we'll just pull this like this. So we got a nice round belly with the furry flat edges. There you go. We can smooth that out if you want, because it's Maya. And then I'll probably I'll come back in and sculpt this a little bit better so it's not so flat in the front. So we could grab this little sculpt tool and then sort of, oops, let's pull it out. Why is it in the negative? Let's pull it out a little bit. Okay, and then quit. There you go. A little Blumpy's tummy. And then on this one, we'll do the same thing. So I'll just grab this edge, pull it around like that. Let's just do the whole kind of thing. And then we can just change the way this goes. So let's just go linear like this. And you can kind of just adjust it the way you want. There, that should give us a nice fall off. So I'll pull this back so we can get a cool head. I mean, the point of this whole thing for me is to more quickly generate characters for animation, right? So a lot of this stuff we try to do in After Effects all the time to varying degrees of success usually. So let's put this over here. And there's ways that we can do this without being trapped inside of After Effects and without having to learn how to be a really good modeler in Maya, right? I don't know if a lot of the tools I think you guys have seen, at least I'm hoping, they're not that complicated. The rigging gets complicated a little bit, but it's no more complicated than After Effects rigging. It's no more complicated. I've been doing it for a long time now. I came to rigging from After Effects, and it is no more easy. It's not more easy or more complicated. I mean, there's auto riggers in Maya just like there are in After Effects. You have all the same kind of tools, and the same thing with Blender, right? So you could, once we get our OBJ version done and our FBX version done, you'll be able to do this in Blender as well. Okay, so there we go. And then let's do his little tail. So you can see I've got a mesh there. There's some problems with the mesh. There's a lot of little different ways you can go about solving these problems. I wish I could I can't remember. The quad draw tool does not work if you're not constrained, I don't think. I think you have to have an object that it's constrained to. I wish you could just draw. Otherwise, you really have to use the multi-connect tool or something like that. You can't just go in and start, unless I'm wrong. There could be something you could do, but usually what you do is you kind of have to we've deleted these edges, and then I'll use the multi-cut tool to connect these back together again. And it won't even break our UVs or anything. So it's really cool. I can really quickly fix anything I missed, and I don't have to learn how to do this from scratch. So let's grab the tail, and I'm just going to use the same softness that I had on the other thing. And let's just pull this around the tail out. There we go. And if you wanted to, you could duplicate this and make it two-sided like that. gives you a little bit more, or flip it or whatever, or not at all, right? Like it really depends on what you want to do. But we have some 3D pretty fast, or 2.5D, depending on how you want to work. Now, so we've got this little character here. We could do a lot with this character. We could rig him. So maybe I'll play it. We can play a little bit with rigging the character. That might be fun. I mean, I'm not going to do anything crazy good. We're just playing really more than anything. So we'll group this character together. Again, the idea here is to make something fairly simple, pretty fast. It's not perfect in any way, but if you can imagine the process down the road, what this could actually look like for someone who doesn't really know 3D super well, and also like getting a little bit further, a little bit more out of it than you might get out of After Effects. Okay, so let's, I want to rig the tail up really quick. So I'm going to make some bones here on the tail. Whoops, I think we're at the wrong side view. We want to go, it actually doesn't matter. We'll just go like this. We can see everything we need to see. Okay, let's get the bones in. We're just going to do really quick and dirty rigging. Okay, so the tail, I'm not going to animate the tail. I'm going to let it be like a hanging tail that doesn't really do anything. So we will actually create a curve here for what will end up turning into like a hair, kind of using a hair solver for the tail. So let's just go here. I'm going to create a curve just so I've got a curve that hits every bone. So I'll hold V down. We can't see anything right now, but it is going in there. Okay, there it is. So that I'm eventually going to associate. Now, I'm not going to do too like good practice here of like naming everything properly. I guess I could do just like do the hierarchy naming. Let's go modify. We'll add a prefix to this, and we'll call it tail underscore. There we go, tail joint. And then curve, we'll call this like CRV tail. Okay, so that's one thing, that's fine. All of these guys could go into there. We don't know. I don't know why I did that, but it's okay. Okay, and let's go back here. So we've got this little tail thing. Let's bring this guy more to 0 because he's still kind of, the monster is still kind of in the wrong spot. I'm just going to sort of center this here. There we go. Let's bring it there. And then I'll actually also freeze all these transforms on this. So I'll just go freeze transforms there. So the character is sort of centered in some weird way. Let's put this tail here. Boop. Oh, and bring the curve with us. Oh, they're both wrong. They go different ways. Let's put the curve, let's put the tail under the curve. There we go. And now I can just move it as one big thing. There we are. Okay, so that'll be our tail. I'm going to make a basic head. You'll actually be able to, again, once we're finished, if people like this plugin enough and people actually use it, you will be able to do, we're going to make, like I keep saying, we're going to make the FBX exporter for this. So it's not going to just be, let me just get rid of this. It's not going to just be for Maya. I think that's the main thing is we're not, that's not my intention anyway, that we make this a explicitly Maya-based plugin. It was just what we know really well. I know it really well, and it's something we're using on our productions, so it just made sense to do it this way for now. Okay, so this one, let's go modify. I'm just going to put the prefix, and we'll put this in as head. I'm not going to do eye controls right now. We can add them later, head, and then we'll just call this, we'll do the same thing. Modify prefix, and we'll call this body underscore. There we go. So now we have our body joints, we have our head joints, and I'm going to just parent the head to the body. There we go. So the body kind of just, whoops, the body kind of will drive everything. Why can't I see any of my bones? Shading, X-ray joints, okay. So then this will kind of control our head a little bit. And then this will, and then, oh yeah, let's join the tail. So we've got the tail. I've got this curve attached to it, but we don't need to have that anymore attached. I just had to put it there so I could reposition properly. And maybe we'll put the tail at the end of the body joint chain. So there. So if this, whoops, if this body part rotates here, oops, the tail kind of goes with it. All right, so hopefully I don't mess this up. I'm not an expert at Maya rigging by any means. I just want to do like something super, super basic. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to tie all this stuff. I'm just going to weight it straight to the head here, okay? So we'll just go bind skin. I just did a smooth bind on this. Is that one bound? I can't remember. So let's go here again. So I did the pupils. What I would really do if I was really doing this is I'd make separate bones for the pupils and everything like that. But I'm trying to move pretty fast so that we can do a quick experiment. Because I want to try with this. I'll bind this one to the head. G. So that just rebinds stuff. I'm just using the same command over. Okay. And then let's take this head and bind it to this bone. G. Okay. So the head should be bound to this now. There we go. Cool. No, I think it bound to the hierarchy. So you can already see there's some stretching. So let's just take a look at this. We already have like a nice little bit of stretching for the neck. So because it's kind of partially weight painted to the neck bone. So let's just check our weights. And we can go here to the tool settings. And so you can see part of this character's body is weight painted, head is weight painted to the body. This is like the primary body here. So we could increase that even for this area here. I'm just going to increase it a bit, and I'll take for the rest of the head. So it's using both these. Actually, this is the best way to weight paint really, is you take this and you go replace and you put it all the way to 1 and you flood it. So now what happens is this is 100% in control of the head. Now what you can do without breaking anything, now what you can do is you can actually add bones that you want to weight paint this to. So if I open my weight painting tool here, now what I can do is say like, okay, I'm happy with the head joint. I don't want anything here, so I'm going to lock this. I don't want to use, so if I scroll through what bones I want to affect the body or the neck, I don't really want this bone affecting it, so I'm going to lock that one. I'm going to lock all these guys locked, and I just want head joint and this one. So what I'm going to do, because this one's unlocked and this one's unlocked, it's going to take any weights that I'm adding, it's going to pull from this layer and put it here. So if I put this here like this, you'll see automatically they've been pulled away from this one. And this keeps you from getting those confusing, messy weight painting problems where you get like odd surfaces moving when you weren't expecting them to. Okay, so now let's go here. Let's try to rotate this around a little bit. See? Pretty good. See, like this again would be hard to do any other way, is that the neck is not colliding with itself. So let's do even more. It's not colliding with the body, but I'm going to just add a little more. And let's actually include, well, once we get this painted up more, we'll lock this head and we'll grab body joint 4 and just paint a little bit into it there. So that if I move this joint here, we should get a tiny bit of movement. Okay, and it looks like I painted to the hierarchies by accident. So what I need to go here is, so that the cheeks aren't moving and stuff, is we just go to the body joint we want, like we talked about before, and we just flood this to 100% white. Make sure everyone's unlocked when you do it, and then we lock everybody. And we do the same thing with the eyes. What do we have for eyes? Come on, guys. What do we got? There we go. I don't see anything. They should be weight painted. Okay, this one is, they should have 0. Let's 0 this out. We want it head joint to only. Unlock that. I'm just unlocking them all so we can steal all the weights over. Cool. Okay, and we'll just lock everybody there. And I'm not sure why I couldn't do the eyes. Let's try again. What's going on there? I don't see any bones showing. I'm not sure. I'm doing something. I'm thinking fast. Usually when I'm streaming, I run into the problem of like, I'm trying to think on my feet really quickly, and I miss stuff. It's just the way it goes. So those guys nope, they're not. So we need to head paint these so they're 100% on the head, and then we just lock everybody else. That's fine. A better way to do this in the first place is if we go to skin and we say like unbind the skin. Oh, it's saying it's not attached to anything. That's weird. It is attached to something. It's totally weird. This one's not attached either. Let's just see here. This should be painted to the head joint. Oh, okay, let's just do this. Do it again. Flood. Why aren't you painting? Or flood it white. There we go. Okay, so let's try this again. Cool. Okay, so now with some basic weight painting, we've managed to make this guy look move pretty good, and we're getting some decent deformations. We could go crazier and start like blending that together a bit better on his head. There's lots you can do. Like this is way more robust than After Effects as far as actually being a system you can use to get some really nice solid animation. And I'm not having to add a bunch of expressions to make this happen either, of course. So then we're going to just go to body joint 1. I'm just going to lock this. And I just want to pull from, this one's locked. So we're going to go here. I'm going to put a little more. I'm going to get a little more up on the cheeks. So let's just put the opacity to 0.3. I'm just going to put a little more here across the head. I kind of want the head to deform a little bit more when I'm moving it around. See? Cool. So these cheeks, we need to kind of incorporate into this a little bit better because they're cutting into the head now. So you see how that's happening? It's because they're not really matched with the way the head is weight painted. Which we could do is we could transfer weights over. I'm not super good at doing that, so I'm going to just try to do this in a cheaty way. Let's just go here. So one way you can do this is if you position the head in a way, usually you want to keyframe this, but if you position it in a way that is not working the way you want, you go here, and then we just go to these guys here. Why does this keep locking in a weird way? Okay, so what we go is here, and what we can do is we can add a little bit of the body joint. So we'll do this one, and we'll just go and just do the brush here. We'll add just a bit, enough to like make that cheek not drive into the body so much, or into the there. We'll do the same thing on this guy, just a bit. Cool. Okay. It's not ideal, but it's just, I'm just trying to show you as fast as possible. If you didn't know anything about anything. There. So we fixed it. Cool. And we have this sort of 3D head happening now, which is really cool. And we're having a similar problem with the eyes, but I'm not finished sculpting on this guy. So what I can do now is I'm going to just use my brush tool or my sculpt tool. So modeling tool. I'm going to just push in some of this stuff. Oh, will it not let me? Oh, because it's bound to skin. That's annoying. You can still do this though. Oops, let's go 1. I can still do this and pull it in the way I want. I might even make this a bigger, let's go here. Oh, I can't select this as an edge loop because we triangulated it. So if we hadn't triangulated everything, this would be a little bit easier to do. But it doesn't quite matter. We're just being fast here. Fast and stupid. Oops. This one's a lot messier. I did not pay very good attention when I did this. Doesn't matter. Just going to grab a few. There we go. It's pretty easy to modify stuff once you've sort of finished it up. But, okay, so we've got this little basic head going on. Eventually, I mean, you could rig up your eyes and stuff on it. One other thing I wanted to experiment with, which I'm not quite ready for yet, but we're going to try, is getting the flattening the character out, but still maintaining some of this three-dimensionality that we're looking at. But see, so far, if I wanted to set something up like this in After Effects, to pull this illusion off would be very, very difficult and time-consuming. But we've got it already right away. And like if I want to, the other cool thing I can do is let's duplicate this out. Now all these properties are going to be locked because it's been, we'll unlock. And then I'm going to move this, come on, unlock. There. Now, this doesn't have a weight paint to it, but what I could do with this is I'll just flatten it out a little bit. And this is something similar that I do in After Effects all the time, but it's kind of just a cheat. Go like this. And then I might even, I'll scale this down a bit more. And the other nice thing about doing this method is how fast the animation is by comparison. So I'm just going to reverse this. I'm pulling it reversal like that. Okay. And I might even make this even bigger. There we go. So now we have a middle one. and we have this one. And I'm just going to, just for the sake of demonstration, just parent this over onto the bone. I'm just pressing P. So there you'll see that it moves a little more. Actually, I'm going to unparent it because the only thing that's kind of annoying is that everything looks green. So let's just do this. We'll just bind it. We'll go skin, bind skin. And I want to not do joint hierarchy. I just want to do selected joints, okay? So we'll take this and this, apply. This and this, apply. So now it's not going to have the same problem as, are these guys parented under this for some reason? Yeah, that's what I thought. Okay, take this and this, apply. There we go. Cool. So now we have a fairly 3D head. Now look at, we're getting repetition. Oh, I don't want the repetition. That sucks. No problem, no problem. We can just flip it. Well, this one is, it's weight painted now. Actually, one way we can do this if we've already weight painted is we can just go like this. Oh, that doesn't work. Could just rotate it. Like that. There we go. Cool. Cool. Fuzzy guy coming along. Let's go F8. I want to move it over just a little bit. Not seeing enough of the hair over here. Cool. Scale him up a bit. Cool, eh? Oh, I have not been following the Watch Me Work chat. Sorry, guys. Does anyone even care what we're doing? Probably not. Okay, good. All right. There. So now we could do the same with the body too, right? Like you could duplicate this off, and then we haven't weight painted this yet. So usually you want to kind of sculpt your body and stuff, do all that stuff first. I'm kind of just running by the seat of my pants. But and then and what we can do here is we can actually just flip it. I'm just being very haphazard about things because the idea behind this for me is just to make something really cool and really simply. And we could scale this up and have it reversed as well, like that. So it's got a little more mass to it. Let's move it over a bit. Cool. This guy's looking pretty cool. Great. So we're starting to get the character going together, moving. And of course, we can start weight painting this differently as we want to like evolve it. So let's just grab this guy, for instance, and we'll take our weight paints here. Where are we? Rigging. Go to the weight paints. And right now I have only got one joint. So let's say I want to add a joint to it. I want to add this body joint. So I can click this and I can go, boop. I think it's like this. I go skin weights and I can go edit influences, add influence. And by doing this, I can just add a bone. So if I've got this guy selected and I click the bone, I can go apply. Now what I should have, I think, if I did this properly, if I go here, there, we should have the body joint there. So now that's been mixed in 50%. Oh, and because I forgot to lock the weights. So what I can do again is I'll just do a flood of 100%. And I'll go to the body and then I'll just paint in, well, let's just make the opacity 0.5. I'll just paint in some of the, let's 0.2. Paint this in a little bit. Okay. We're going to have to experiment a little bit to make sure that it's kind of working with the top head piece. Usually what I do is I'll keyframe animation on one of these joints. So let's just go like this. I'll go Shift E and then Shift E. So here, I'll twist this over like this and then we'll go over here. All the way to the other side and down. And then we'll zero it out again. Cool. So now this way we can kind of look at what our bones are doing. And we're not going to know for a bit until we start rigging the rest of the body. But let's just go in here and paint a little bit more so I can look at now the extreme of this headpiece and just start like painting this more to the body and get more of a look I want. I want it to collapse too much, actually. There we go. Okay, we'll probably have to do some to the back of the head too eventually, but this is more just like, let's have a look at this idea. Okay, and I think I want less on his little chin too. Or its chin, sorry. And that's the body joint and the head joint. So let's just paint back a little bit more of the head here and soften it out. So now it's just really swapping between those two. So you can see we're getting a little more movement there. Cool. Okay. And now what we can do is we could weight paint the body. So we'll do the same thing with the skin. We'll do a bind skin, but I'm also going to do selected joints. So for this one, I want to use this bone, and this bone to do this guy. Apply. So now what we should have is when it rotates, you see? It also means we should be able to take this one and do this with the body. Now the question here is like, do we want that to affect this face? Probably not. So here we go in here. And I think that is, oh no. Why? Okay, just let me lock this. Body joint 4 is this one. Yeah, that's the one that's affecting things. We have body joint 3, which is here. So we want to go between body joint 3 and 4. We'll just pull some stuff off of 4 and put it more on here. Okay, I'm just going to subtract stuff off this joint here. Actually, let's just flood it black. So we'll just do this, or opacity full, this, flood it black, and then we'll just put value 1.2. We'll just put a tiny bit of that. We just want a little bit of influence on that. Great. And then now if I move this, it's just a bit. Cool, eh? So now we want to do the same thing with this piece. We'll just select our 2 joints. We definitely want the head. We want this and this. And then I will go apply. Okay, so now we're not getting any weird collisions, and we should be able to have this body affecting the whole character. It looks pretty cool. And the other nice thing about this is we should, before, I'll just save this really quick. Oh, I haven't even saved one time. That's insane. Scenes. Okay, and we'll just call this like monster tail. Okay, cool. Okay, that guy's good. He's looking around. Cool. Now let's take. We haven't done any actual rig controls. I'm just trying to, like I said, focus on this. Like, we can pull this guy around. He's fine. Eventually, we would have controllers for it, but I'm not going to worry about that right now because this is a really fast thing. Okay, so now what we want to do is we'll skin the tail. So we're going to go for a joint hierarchy because I don't want to have to select every joint. So this, and we'll go apply. So now if I pull the whole character around, the tail should go with, great. The other thing we want to do is probably for now, because we don't have a control unit or system or anything, we'll parent the tail curve to eventually to this like body joint 5. But we're not going to worry about it right now because the first thing we have to do is I want the tail to be floppy. So we're going to want to put like a hair solver on it. But cool. Okay. So character's working pretty good. Let's do like a quick animation on our body. Shift E. Let's do like a rotation here. And then we'll just zero it out. Cool. Okay, so let's go like this. Let's have a look. Cool. Kind of have this guy working, sort of. All right, now let's just take this tail, and we're not worried about the geometry. I actually want to just deal with the curve here. And I'm going to go really quickly. I'm going to go to N hair, and I'm going to go make selected curves dynamic. And I'm just going to apply. Okay, so what should happen is that curve should just sort of hang in space because it's turned it into a hair. I'm not going to get crazy into the settings or anything like that, but we essentially want to bind the bones to the hair for the tail. I'm going to tell it to point lock just at the base, I think. Let's see if that actually does what we would expect. Yeah, okay. Okay, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this curve and I'm going to take the tail joints and isolate them. And then what I'm going to do is create a IK curve. So you select the end joint, top joint, and then the curve. Now what should happen is that this follicle should move around with it. Now there's a problem, And it's probably mostly because, just bear with me for 1 second. It's probably because this curve is parented to the tail. And we don't want that. I think once we make it a hair, we need something else. We need to parent the actual follicle, I think, to the tail. Or not to the tail, sorry, to the body. Possibly to the tail. There we go. So now, I could be doing this wrong. I'm not 100% sure. I'm not an expert at this at all. Okay, for some reason it's not follow. It sometimes does this. Just give me 1 sec. Let's also make it go to 0. There. Cool. So now we have a guy with a wobbly tail. What we can do, I think, if we go, I have in this mode, we can run a simulation like that. And I can also just grab the character and like wiggle them around eventually. I think my parenting structure is a little bit weird because, again, like I'm trying to be super fast here. I'm not sure if this actually has the hair system should be under it either. Definitely not the nucleus, and the Ica handle definitely not. But it's just something you can look up really fast. It's really easy. I don't use this. I don't use the hair systems or the physics enough to really to know this stuff by heart. I'm still working on learning this stuff. So you'll notice how the mesh isn't solving properly anymore. Or the bones aren't. It's just like a weird bug. I'm not sure exactly what it is that causes that. It's like it kind of forgets that it's attached. But it does work normally. In some capacity. We had it working for a bit. And sometimes if you'd have to don't really know. Again, not an expert, but it does work usually, and you can look up really easily how to do all this stuff. So, I guess the last thing before we kind of have to call it a little quits today. Yeah, it's super weird. It's working properly on the bones. Well, sort of. Looks like it's sketching out a little bit. I may not actually have my hair system in the right place. See, that seemed to work. But it probably won't work if I do it again and do something different. But anyways, it's there. It's working. So now, I guess the other benefit of this process, I'll just show you really quick the hyper shader. And you can just have a little quick look at how the materials are set up. So the materials are set up really simply. They're just, if I go graph, they're using a base material of like a Lambert. You can change this if you want to other types of materials. You can create your own materials however you like. But so if you wanted like a different material type, you can make one. Like right now it's a Lambert, but you could do like a Blinn. And we did that for what exactly? I can't remember. Oh yeah, for the body here. But it's really up to you. So you can add all kinds of stuff. The other thing you can do, because this character is like 2.5D, we can add a light in here. We'll just throw that in really, really quick. There's a light. And we're just using Maya's real-time thing. You could also use like a whole bunch of different other methods here. So, and I'll just also add like a little ambient light. And I'll take its settings here, 0.2, and we'll put them kind of like, let's make them a bluish color, I suppose. We'll do sort of like an average, typical daylight kind of thing. There we go, like that. Cool. If I go 7, we should see the lighting. It's going to be hard to notice anything yet. And then if we enable shadows, there's going to be some shadows. I think that's ambient occlusion, but I think our normal faces are flipped weird. If you find that your normal, like if we were to go shading and we were to turn on back face culling, you might find that everything's like totally wrong. All you have to do for that is you can just go to, I think you go to mesh display and you can say, tell it to reverse. And that will fix if there's like back face culling. It's like if you kind of went on the wrong side of building your model, it happens sometimes. It's not really that big of a deal. It's pretty easy to fix. There. And then that would fix your screen-based ambient occlusion. And this one we'd probably flip it to But I don't use ambient occlusion in Maya because, not screen-based one, because it really doesn't like the alpha channels. It doesn't respect the boundaries. It usually ruins everything. But the shadows work fine. So for like one of these, we would say use depth map shadows. I'll put this to 4096 to make them nice and sharp. We should get shadows. There we go. You can see some shadows. The shadows also don't really respect alpha channels, so we're not going to get a nice fuzzy shadow, but it will when it actually renders. So we'll just put the filter size up. There. So we got some shadows on there. But again, you can see it's like creating square edge shadows because it's following the geometry exactly. But again, that's just in the hardware renderer. It's not the case in the actual, if you were to use a software render or if you were to use something else, it wouldn't be like that. So there we go. We made this little guy. So, I mean, obviously we could go way, way, way further with this and get crazy. But, oh yeah, let's do one other thing. I'm not sure if this will actually work. This might ruin everything. I might even crash the program. So we'll find out though in a moment. If I take, I think it would be the joints, wouldn't it? Let me just see something. Well, it'd be the joints would be everything, possibly. You can flatten things out. I'm just curious what this does. So what you can do in Maya is you can group everything under a single object and flatten it out. And that's if you really want to kind of preserve sort of like a 2D, 3D look. So you can see I've like really squashed that character, which gives us slightly different results. I haven't like fixed it properly, but again, you're getting the same feeling with mashing it. But what I would more probably do for something like that is just create a really long camera lens. But that's the basics. So it means essentially you can generate a character pretty fast inside of Maya without any modeling and without any like having to know how to do textures and really just get something moving. You know, we did that, I guess, in an hour. I didn't paint him. And as you can see, it's like glitching out a little bit, but that has something to do with the way I parented the hair system and stuff like that. And perhaps if I were to do this properly, I wouldn't want the tail just hanging there. But overall, I think it's like it works, and we're getting better results, in my opinion, than we would be getting in After Effects. The other thing you can do is to remove any sort of 3D feel at all. We could go to the materials. Let's go here. We'll go to the... I'm just going to go edit, delete all by type, non-deformer history, and that should clean stuff up without wrecking my... Cool. It wrecked this, but that's okay. What I can do if I want to make it look better is under the material, the Lambert, wherever that is. Okay, so under here, I think, is it the ambient all the way up? You can crank down the diffuse to 0, essentially. And make sure your ambient is cranked to 100. And what that'll do is it'll remove any kind of 3D feel of the material. It should be the same one. Same material. Same material. Okay, we just had that. And then the eyes, we didn't do that for the eyes. We can just crank the diffuse down. So now it's really just a flat shaded material that won't really respond to lighting. And I kind of broke him a little bit because of my deleting history. You're not supposed to really do that the way I did it. But anyways. But you can see we've got a character, and you can do a lot with this guy. And you can see like animating a character in Maya or in like whatever, if you were to use Cinema 4D or something like that, it's a lot easier to animate a character in Maya. It's faster anyways than it is if you're trying to do it in After Effects in some ways. It really depends what you're trying to do. But I'm going to just fix this really quickly. The other thing is I suppose like I'm fairly comfortable. Oh, that's weird. It's like reversed. Let's just go like this. We'll say value to here, and we'll flood it. Then we'll do body joint, and then I'll just paint some in here. Oops. Let's go 0.2. And see how easy it is in some ways to quickly make something move more the way you want it to. So now essentially we have this guy That's pretty easy to animate. And you could record this essentially. And that all just came from this little PSD file that we made. And we've maintained the aesthetic fairly accurately. And it's really fast. Like this, what I didn't have to do a fur simulation. I didn't have to like model a fully 3D character. It's quite simple to rig because everything's fairly flat. So it is a way to do limited animation and potentially get a lot better results. And plus, if you look, I could never move things around this fast in After Effects. What would you like to name the guy? I think we can just throw me out a name and I'll stick it on. That's not going to work because I didn't parent things properly. This, I should technically, actually, I can see what's actually wrong here. Is this IK? Usually you would have these part of a group. This might be wrong. Yeah, there we go. Okay. Yeah, that kind of messes up the IK. The other thing, I'm going to actually do this really quick. I'm just going to remove the IK handles and the hair and even get rid of this curve. Because like, let's say for instance, for this character, I might want to actually just animate the tail more manually. The other thing you can do is you could limit the rotation, the values or the range of the joints so that they can't possibly go in all the directions. But anyways, I hope this has been helpful and interesting to you. We're just about ready to start beta testing this. This is not the full, well, it's kind of, I guess it's like largely the extent of the plugin, but another aspect of the plugin, which I did want to focus on at some point, and maybe we could do it really quickly, is just if you wanted to generate like a landscape or something. I'm going to do 4096 by 4096 just because it's like the most straightforward thing to me. Let's just make sure our image mode, we're going to do make sure we're 8 bits for now. I'll add a new layer and I'm just going to draw like a really quick, I suppose I could like import something. I wonder if I have any images. I'm just going to see if I have any images that we could just bring in. Doodles. I have to be careful. I don't know what kind of doodles I've been making. Oh, that's this little boy paper puppet guy. Okay, I don't even know. I was going to try to find an image or something that I could work with really quickly, but I don't. Well, I have this guy. I guess this floaty guy has been something I've been wanting to bring in a long time. This character here, oops, is a character I wanted to bring into Maya, and I painted all these layers. There's so many layers, you wouldn't even believe it. So this is the full character. And there's a lot of layers on this character. So this might be a fun project because this is something I wanted to work on for this whole idea. Because I tried to build this character in After Effects, but it really didn't work out because it was just too it was too slow. I couldn't do anything I wanted to do because it was just way too slow. I'm just going to delete these blooms for now because we don't need them. And I'm going to save this into the PSD to Maya project really quick. I gotta stop soon, but source images, and we'll just call this like floaty guy full merged. Okay, that's fine. So what I'm going to do here is I don't want to go through the whole process of building a mesh for every single one. One thing we could do, one thing would be maybe a good idea to do is to like lay it out better so it has a more economical use of our UVs. But what I think, let's just get rid of this layer. We don't need it. I've got everything named. I've got everything here. So let's just try and see what happens if I run an export on this. And really quickly, I want to just double check what my expansion is. Select, modify. I think it's too much, honestly. Oh no, 20 is okay. Okay, so what I'll do is, I'm just going to let it build grids. I don't care right now. What I would probably do for very specific parts of the body, like the arms and all that kind of stuff, is I would probably actually build a mesh, and that might be something we can do on another day. But I would actually draw the mesh for this using the pen and like do some nice like edge loops all along here, you know? It would take some time, but I can guarantee you it would take a lot longer if we did it normally. So I would just like literally go through and do stuff like that and build a mesh out of it. But for now, what we're going to do is we'll just run the code on it. Okay, so we're going to run this thing on it, and we're going to go back to our project. And I'll just like import it into Maya really fast. And you can see how fast it is to get a basic mesh in there. Not basic, this is pretty robust. I'm not even sure, honestly, if this will work. So we'll call this, I'm just going to call this floaty guy for now. There we go. Okay, save. So it'll run the code. It'll take a minute because there's so many layers. Okay, done. Let's go in here. Oh, that's not good. Not sure what that error is. So let's go save this guy, go new. And let's open the tool. Hopefully it works. It may not. I got an error, so who knows. So we're going to select a new PSD. Select. Ugh. Doesn't remember where we were. Projects. PSD to Maya. PSD to Maya. Source images. Floaty guy. There. Boop. Open. Let's see if this works. There's a lot of stuff. Nope. Something happened. Let's try again. It might be because of the crash. Anyways, we're still testing, but we'll try to open it one more time and do it again. It might work, but might not. Oh, you wanted to name the character Spooky? Is that the name you've chosen, Pramod? I'm down with it. I wasn't sure if you were saying what we were looking at was Spooky or the character should be named Spooky. Unfortunately, I have to open the plugin again. So settings, plugin manager. Okay, not that. Load. Close. It was messed up. It didn't quite work. That's a tough thing to do. Cheating animation can also oftentimes be harder than actually animating something. Oops. Okay, let's go here. PSD to Maya, PSD to Maya, source images. Let's see if this works. It's probably going to break again. Open. Yeah, it's too big. Okay, I'm going to send, it's good. Unfortunately, I'm going to send this file off to, I got to save this file and send it to the guys and let them know it's breaking my thing. Okay, I'm going to zip this together. Send to zip. All right, guys. Well, anyways, that was the demo for today. I hope it was interesting to you to some degree. I'm going to submit a bug report for this lovely little crash that we're having. But anyways, that's all. So thanks for hanging out. I really appreciate it. I hope there was something interesting in there for you guys. And I'll see you next week, possibly again this week, I'm hoping. But yeah, so we're back in town, nothing crazy going on. So I should be around and hopefully be able to show you some more stuff we're doing. So I'll see you guys later. Thank you.